Hello, and welcome to History Talk with Smith Co. Today, we're going to be talking about the efforts of the UUC and the IRA against the Sunningdale Agreement. So hello and welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the IRA and the UUC in their efforts against the Sunningdale Agreement. So basically, the IRA were they were against the Sunningdale Agreement because they felt that it would be reinforcing partition. They were like Sinn Féin. They believed that it would be reinforced partition, and more specifically, they're talking about the Council of Ireland, of course, which you could argue would, but obviously, they didn't want that. So what it does though is it gives you an insight into the IRA that they're not out there for your rights. They're not out there so that you have equal thing. This shows the IRA to be up for who they really are, which is the IRA are not there so that you can get your rights. The IRA are not there so that you won't be pushed down by unionists. The IRA are not there so that people like Ian Paisley are, have an opposition which is, not political, that is, paramilitary. They're there to force you, or, if it's choice, to give you a united Ireland by violence. So, obviously, while you could say that this probably didn't really affect them that much, it does show you that the IRA are not the, people to get if you want your rights. Go for someone else. Not people who want to just take away other people's rights. Anyway, next comes a problem. Because there was a meeting of the UUC. It soon became clear that the terms of the Sunningdale Agreement were unacceptable to the majority of unionists. However, because of the unionists that were left, along with nationalists, and along with people who were neither unionists or nationalists, they didn't have a majority yet, as just 3 days after the first meeting of the executive, the UUC, the governing body of the UUP, met to vote on a motion condemning the Council of Ireland. The motion was carried, and Faulkner was forced to resign as leader of the party. He was replaced by Harry West, who was opposed to power sharing. The authority of the executive was now weakened, and its leader was no longer had a majority of support in his own party. Then comes the UK general election of February 1974. Support for power sharing institutions was further weakened when the British Prime Minister, Edward Heath, called a general election on February 1974. Of the 12 Westminster seats of Northern Ireland constituencies, unionist candidates opposed to Sunningdale won 11 of them, and the remaining seat was won by the SDLP. So not one unionist who was pro-Sunningdale won a seat. This was a popular slogan we used at the time. Dublin is just a Sunningdale away. Obviously wrong, because that's not how the agreement was working. This helped to persuade unionist voters. The agreement was on the first step of the path to Irish unity. The result clearly indicated the outright rejection of power sharing institutions and the Council of Ireland by the Unionist Committee. Merlin Rees then becomes Secretary of State, because you see, when the Labour Party wins most of the seats in Britain, they take office as the majority government. Harold Wilson becomes Prime Minister and appoints Merlin Rees as Secretary for State for Northern Ireland. Wilson visits Northern Ireland in April 1974 to show his support for power sharing institutions. At this point, however, opposition to the Assembly was fairly strong. Then comes something very, very radical. It comes along and it says, what am I? A strike. Yeah, a strike is called and organised by loyalist workers in the following month of the Sunningdale Agreement, eventually resulting later on in the entire collapse of the Sunningdale Agreement. Apologies for the spoilers. So, how exactly did the UWC strike of May 1974 cause this? So first of all, we'll look at the UWC. So the UWC, or Unionist Workers' Council, is an organisation of loyalist workers drawn from traditional Protestant industries such as shipbuilding and electricity supply. They form in around 1969. Following the Sunday Agreement, they begin to advocate strike action as a way of bringing down the Assembly and the Executive. Now, this is obviously undemocratic. Your policy should not be, oh look, we've got a solution that will subvert democracy. I mean, it's not really always going to connote the best eyes in democratically elected politicians. Elsewhere, maybe. But in democratically elected persons, generally no. However, anti-Sunningdale Unionist leaders, Ian Paisley, Harry West, and William Craig, were brought onto the UWC committee coordinating the strike action. Andy Tarr, a full-time officer with of the paramilitary organisation of the UDA, was also brought onto this committee. Now, with this result of the general election showing the majority of unions were opposed to Sunningdale, the UWC felt justified in bringing out all strike action, even though there hadn't technically, that was just unionist majority, there wasn't country majority. So this obviously is strange, because why exactly would government elected individuals slide with people who were basically admitting that they were going to use strike action to take down the government? Well, that is all coming up in the next video, because in the Assembly on the 14th of May 1974, a vote calling for the rejection of the Sunningdale Agreement was defeated. That evening, Harry Murray and the chairperson of the UWC announced something, and that something was that the workers would strike, and that strike would begin the next day. So hopefully you'll join us then when we'll be talking. Not join us then. Sorry, that makes me sound like I'm saying like join us. On the 14th, on the 15th of May, 1974. No, don't join us then, because you won't find any of our videos then. I mean, we started making videos a couple of years ago, but not as far as 1974. No. So anyway, subscribe to the channel if you want to. Please view other videos. That is helpful. It is. And remember, you can always turn off notifications, unless YouTube removes that feature. Then you won't be able to. But as far as I can tell, you can still turn off notifications. So please do that, and please do subscribe to the channel. It does support us, and we can continue making this content. Anyway, sorry for making this video a short one, and bye.